Hi everyone. So today we'll be talking about the Ito no Mi, otherwise known as the string fruit. This fruit is a paramecia type devil fruit that allows the user to create and manipulate strings, making the user a string human. This devil fruit was eaten by the infamous and former warlord Don Quixote Doflamingo, who were first introduced to this devil fruit's powers all the way back in the Gyrock. It was being used on Bellamy and his crew, where Doflamingo was using them all as playthings under his devil fruit's powers. But we didn't get a name for this fruit until the Dressrosa arc, where it got fleshed out and explained. So now we'll be talking about the etymology of this fruit, which means the origin of the word. Ito means string or thread in Japanese, and for the Funimation viewers, it would go by the name of the string fruit. The Ito no Mi is a gourd-shaped pale grey coloured fruit, with the swirl pattern typical of devil fruits, covering all over the base of the fruit, and it has a curly, fuchsia stem on the top, which is a shade of lilac. So now we'll be talking about the strengths of the fruit. The user is bestowed with the powers to generate and control white, wafer-thin, razor-sharp strings attachable to seemingly any surface, even non-solid surfaces such as clouds. But then again, clouds in One Piece are a little different to the real-world counterparts, and from seemingly any part of the user's own body, as well as being used internally. Though mostly seen protruding from the palms and fingertips for many diverse purposes, such as manipulating people's movements in a way reminiscent of how a puppeteer controls puppets, by connecting the strings to their spines and swiping the strings to slice through things like body parts and weapons, similar to piano wire. Also, by attaching them to clouds, aerial transportation, thus giving this devil fruit the power of levitation to an extent, which is quite rare in the devil fruit world, and creating masses of bundled up compressed string for various constructs, such as making ropes and using them as whips, bullets, even clones. And the user can also create a humongous cage-like force field similar to a giant spider web. It is currently unknown whether the user has a limit to the length and quantity of strings produced, but this will more than likely just make the devil fruit user hungry due to using their devil fruit too much. Doflamingo himself mentioned that this devil fruit's powers were very versatile when explaining his ability to perform an emergency stitching of his internal organs after getting them heavily injured by Trafalgar Law's gamma knife technique, thus negating the attack and rescuing himself from an eventual demise. Apart from this, the strings can be imbued with armamentake, increasing their strength, allowing them to bypass devil fruit-based defense, such as Smoker's Mokomoko no Mi's intangibility. The strings possess such enormous durability and tensile strength that extremely few things and people can cut, tear, or otherwise damage them. Not even multiple of Isho's meteorites coming crashing down one after the next could damage the strings. Due to the thinness of the strings, it can make it almost impossible to see them with unaided eyes, making it extremely difficult to avoid their path. And most people who don't know of Doflamingo's powers become completely unaware of how their bodies are moving against their own will. The Ito no Mi can become extremely sharp, being shown slicing through Little Oz Jr. like he was a piece of straw. Additionally, if awoken, the Ito no Mi's powers also allow the consumer to transmute parts of the surrounding area, like buildings and the floor itself, and they will all be turned to string, something which, according to Luffy, makes it no longer resemble the power of a mere paramecia. As stated by Law, one of his abilities' weaknesses is that the user cannot travel mid-air if there's no clouds in the sky, referring to where Doflamingo uses clouds to levitate. But due to this devil fruit being extremely sharp, it still can't cut sea stone, a nigh indestructible material that nullifies devil fruit powers. Also, the strings will disappear into thin air if the user loses consciousness, seen when the Torakago surrounded Dressrosa during and gradually vanished after his defeat. But besides that, the user is still affected by standard devil fruit weaknesses, and possibly even Fisherman Karate. Some usages. Doflamingo usually bends his fingers to move his strings, as he pleases for manipulating people like puppets, having even shown himself capable of using this parasite technique to control many people at the same time without visible effort, while slicing his targets. Doflamingo only uses this motor skill manipulation power to force comrades, young enemies or civilians to fight and even mortally wound each other, while he sits at the sideline and watches to his own amusement. And when faced with multiple opponents, he may use his string clone technique to assist himself with the aid of his additional puppets under his control, by using both against a single opponent, thus creating a 2v1 situation, or to even make the person under his control attack alongside him for combat potential, showing that the devil fruit is a very technical fruit when being used. Doflamingo's main offensive capabilities lie in his use of the strings to cut his targets and destroy, their weapons, to the point where he manages to cleanly sever Little Orz's leg in one swift motion, and doing a similar thing to Crocodile just to toy around with him to test the waters. Later, Doflamingo was shown to be well capable of cutting the Logia type by beating Smoker up, who is the user of the smoke fruit. This was capable due to infusing his strings with haki, armament haki to be exact, and additionally, he can compress the strings to create such constructs as a giant whip, or even to make a clone of himself capable of fighting alongside him and being able to move its mouth and transmitting his voice so it appears that the clone is talking. Doflamingo has completely mastered his powers of the Ito no Mi, and has thus managed to achieve a rare phenomenon of awakening. This allows him to transform the ground and buildings around him to change into strings at his own will to use to either attack or defend, as well as extending his range and attack volume. But aside from offensive and defensive abilities, this fruit is that versatile that it can allow Doflamingo to be able to use the strings to stitch his internal organs back together if they happen to take a fatal wound, acting as a form of first aid. Some brief history of this devil fruit user is that when Doflamingo was 10 years old, he awakened his conqueror's haki, knocking out a mob set out to torture him. 4 young individuals, being Virgo, Treble, Diamante, and Pika, who would be later the future elite officers of Doflamingo's crew, because they became awed by the rise of one who they deemed worthy to be their new king. Treble offered Doflamingo's power to be their king and to eliminate everyone who offended him, thus creating a monster who was unfortunately scorned from a young age, which took the form of the Ito no Mi. Some trivia for this fruit? Out of all the devil fruits so far that have been named in the series, this fruit has had the longest gap between its first demonstration and when it was named, which spanned almost 500 chapters, which would be more than 11 years in our eyes. Several of Doflamingo's named techniques are puns, usually ending with Ito in the Japanese pronunciation. This devil fruit was the first paramecia devil fruit revealed to be awakened, and the Ito no Mi is rather similar to Leo the Dwarf's New no Mi, as they both revolve around using threads. So this is another devil fruit logged into the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia. And if you would like me to make more anime videos about any type of anime, let me know in the comments. And make sure to smash that subscription button as well as to push the notifications if you don't want to miss out. And if you'd like to watch more videos, make sure to click on the playlist here or check the video over here that YouTube has picked out for you. And again, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye now.